ever let the color of your skin, where you come from, the environment you grew up in, stop you from chasing your dreams, baby, let's get it. My hand to please don't segregate. Dressed in a suit, I can't relate. Minority report, can't ignore being rich from poor and your credit score. My hand to please don't segregate. Dressed in a suit, I can't relate. Minority report, can't ignore being rich from poor and your credit score. See, all I wanna do
Dude, we talked about not doing that, or no, we just said it like a DJ voice or something for our intro, which I don't know if we'll have our intro by the time this airs, but yeah, we're excited, man. This is our first podcast, first episode, and would you say it's been a long time coming.
Yeah,
it's 4 weeks.
4 weeks. 4 weeks of dreaming about it.
Yeah, finally reality.
It's the maiden voyage of our podcast.
Yep. Salud.
So, I'm Dan Delgado. I'm a real estate investor in Nebraska, and I also have a video production business, and I have a W-2 job. I'm, still grinding it out every day.
Which I'm excited to see the growth on that. Cheers to that. But I'm excited to see the growth on that. This is episode 1, so it'll be nice to see what episode you're gonna be able to be like, hey, I'm financially free.
Yeah.
From my W-2 job. You know what I mean?
I hope my boss isn't listening. Anyway, introduce yourself.
Yeah. So I'm Billy. Billy Dha Kidd. Some of you guys might know me by that. I do music. I own a record label. Do some hip hop myself as an artist, and then I'm an investor as well, and business owner. Got a couple businesses. So
on the topic of the music, if you like the theme song of the podcast, that was his work. He knocked it out in like 2 days. It was crazy, but listen to the lyrics. It's raw, it's real. It's exactly kind of your story, basically.
Yeah, and not just mine. I think what we wanted to do, with this podcast, which is it's called a Minority Report, but at the same time, we're not. That's basically like the tagline that you came up with. Real estate and entrepreneurship for the rest of us. So it doesn't mean that we're just going to interview minorities or anything like that. We're going to interview everybody, but we want our audience and I guess our audience, anybody, you're going to learn a lot from us, but I believe that there's a lot of work to be done for a minority to learn more about real estate, more about entrepreneurship. And in general, the school system is just jacked. They don't teach us anything really that's gonna help our life.
So we wanted to do our part in representation, and so that people can see out there that there's entrepreneurs and investors don't have to look the same.
Exactly.
I think when someone thinks of an investor, they don't think of a bearded guy with gold chains and a rapper, but
right.
But that's the reality.
It's true. Yeah. And that's literally how we came up with this. We're like, you know what? Like, we're just going to be ourselves. Just like with my music, some like it, some don't. My kids are still fed, thank God. So that's how we're going to do this podcast. It's going to be raw too. So, if, any kids, so, we're going to have our beers. We're just keeping it real estate.
And that's how the idea started.
You like that? We're just keeping it real estate.
Really? But yeah, that is going to be a big focus. But our guests aren't all going to be real estate investors. Yeah, we want to make sure we have entrepreneurs at all levels, and in all different types of industries. So, we have a humongous list of people so far that we're going to bring.
We're excited. Yeah, and the first 2 episodes, we're gonna basically give you our stories, and then from there, the sky's the limit. We're excited. There's so many people out there that with big names, no names, everyday entrepreneurs. And also there's some famous people that we're hoping that if everything works out, we're going to get on with, a bigger audience. So yeah, we're just excited. Make sure you guys subscribe to our channel, The Minority Report, our IG, follow us. And then also don't forget the theme song. Yep. It's out everywhere. Spotify, Pandora, anywhere you listen to music, check it out. I have a friend that when he listened to it, I showed it to him in the studio, and he said, "Did you just take me on a seminar?"
It is. I'm like,
he's like, "You just Like, and it was like halfway through the song, he's like, "You just changed my whole life on the song." So listen to it. You know, all my music has been about inspiration, and motivation. So that's why it just happened natural, I think.
And you know, along the lines of that, I think you know, this is episode 1. You know, we have an idea of the structure of what we want things to look like, but they'll evolve. You know, we might take some things out, add some things in later on, whatever the case is.
And we were just talking about it, you know, at the end of the day, guys, just do it. Like, that's the thing. If you saw the behind the scenes of everything, like whether it is music, I mean, let's not go far right now with the mics.
We couldn't even get these mics.
But you know what? The whole point is to do it and not give up. That's with anything. Because I guarantee you, even like the stuff we were dealing with right now, there's sadly, so many people that would just be like, you know what, I give up.
Yeah, it took us 2 hours to set up. This setup took 2 hours. If you're watching on YouTube, like there's we got going on. But you know, hey, you know, like you said, do it. You know, I think the worst thing to do is nothing at all. And
exactly.
So with for what we have in mind for the show, you know, we're gonna start out the shows with a book of the week, where Billy and I will take turns on books that we feel are impactful or helpful. You know, it could be about business, it could be about self-improvement. I mean, whatever you think, you know, you can get something out of. I truly believe every book you can get something out of it.
Oh yeah.
So it's my turn. Well, I'm kicking it off.
So you just decided that right now?
Yeah.
All right.
I'm taking the executive.
I like it.
But you know, I'm gonna nominate the book of the week to be Rich Dad Poor Dad.
Oh, like, man, yeah.
That's the OG book. Like, you know, next week we'll be doing my story and I'll go into kind of how I started. But
yeah,
that was a humongous part of
my second favorite book of all time.
Yeah. What's your first?
Let's leave that for like another book of the week.
Okay.
So
so part of my responsibility now that I said it is, you know, to give you a little bit of a synopsis and what I got out of the book. But essentially, you know, it's written by Robert Kiyosaki. The dude is a genius. He breaks it down on, you know, essentially he does it in a storyline, and he talks about
it's like talking to kids.
Yeah. And he's talking about how when he was growing up, he had a friend whose dad was an investor and his own dad wasn't, and he was just focused on school and how your grades are gonna make you money, but they don't, and we know this, you know. So so basically he goes through all the lessons that he called his rich dad, which was his friend's dad, and then how he kind of compared it to the poor dad, which is his biological dad. But along the line, he learned how investments work, how to make money work for you when you're not even doing anything.
Yeah.
He breaks it down and the next book is the cash flow quadrant. I'm sure that'll be up in the list too. Yeah. But he basically breaks it down how, you know, don't ask yourself if you can afford it, but how you can afford it, and what you're gonna do. Like,
life changing. That, like, literally life changing, man.
It is, dude. It's life changing. Like, I don't even know. Like, everybody I talk to about investing, and anybody that knows Bill and I, like, that's basically all we talk about. Like, this podcast is just another excuse for me to talk about real estate and investing. But
in life, man. Like I said, like you know, and we're not just focusing on real estate, but it's one of our passions for sure. But entrepreneurs, like, you know, anybody listening that, I mean, I feel like that book, you don't have to be like, if you are in the entrepreneurship path, it's for you for sure.
I mean, even if you're not, you just see how you're doing everything wrong.
That's how I did it. I was like, it's like a slap on the face.
Yeah, it is. Really, but it's a good dose of reality.
I think a lot of the books do that. You know, I remember in high school, like, teachers would always tell me, read. And at that time, you know, just hard-headed and knucklehead, I was like in my mind, I was like, why am I going to read about Holly or, you know, whatever book they were telling me? But self-help books and all that is literally what changed my life. So
if you haven't read it, or if you have read it, go read it again. I mean, it's just that good. But I got to read it again. It's been a couple years since I read it last time. But I've given that book out a lot too. Like, when people start talking and they show real interest, I have probably like 2 or 3 of those copies in my car.
Nice.
You just never know.
You know what's funny? I don't even have like my like the actual copy.
Physical copy.
Yeah, which I want. So I listen to that book once a year.
I listen to it too. I listen to Audible. So
and that's what I was gonna say. That's really how I listened to it the first time. But I've been listening to it every year. But I think my actually funny story, dude. I won that book by his podcast.
Oh, wow.
I won it, and they never sent it to me. So Robert,
if you're listening,
you're lucky. You changed my life, buddy.
So all right, so that's the book of the week. You know, since this is the first couple episodes, Billy and I decided we're just going to interview each other so that you guys kind of get an in-depth some knowledge on, you know, where we came from, where we're at now, where we want to be in the future.
Yeah.
I kind of talked about my stuff a little bit, but it's gonna be Billy. We're gonna learn about this week. So, the floor is yours, man. Tell us about what makes you a minority. No, I'm just kidding. No, but
do you have to question it?
No, but no, like where'd you come from? And before you even the real estate stuff, kind of just lead us.
Yeah. So I'm actually Salvadorian. I was born in El Salvador. And my mom left us actually with my grandma to come to the U.S. I was 8. No, hold on. I was like 6 when she left me because she came back 3 years later. So do the math. I was 9 when I came to the U.S. basically. And back home, I grew up with I never met my dad actually. So that was obviously a bit like it impacted my whole childhood and teens, like teen years basically. But so we left El Salvador. She came back. Me and my sister, we crossed the border and just, chasing the American dream, basically. And then we lived in California for a few years. Shout out to all my family in California. We lived out there for a few years, and just poverty itself, the stress that I saw in my mom is literally what ignited me inside. From El Salvador to California, we're chasing the American dream, right? And at the same time, you can't really compare the two countries because, for example, back at home in El Salvador, we had to go to the bathroom out, on an outhouse. We had no running water. We had no electricity at some points. Throughout the years, I know the president now in El Salvador is doing really good, which we could save that for another topic, or for another time. But yeah, so then the reason why I was bringing up how, El Salvador is with no running water and stuff, when we came to California, just having carpet, we were living in the hood, you know what I mean? But having carpet to me was this whole, it changed, you know what I mean? You looked at it, I'm like, oh man, I'm living like a king now, but it was in the hood. But I was just very open-minded with that. But then so while we were in California, we had my mom's cousin that lived in Nebraska. We lived in Santa Ana. That's where we grew up at while we were in California. We went to school there. And then, even California, we, if it was a 2-bedroom apartment, me, my mom, my sister were living in 1 bedroom, and then another family was living in the 2nd bedroom. So I think my mom got into it. Like I said, a lot of it is poverty, that just your mind, you're just not focused. I know my mom did the best that she could, obviously, with what she could do. But we even moved up to Oakland towards the end, before we moved to Nebraska. And in Oakland, we stayed there for a week or 2, and we just realized, it wasn't no different than Santa Ana, the hood and stuff, but she just realized it was worse. I think we ended up in a bad neighborhood. So then we moved back to Santa Ana. And then finally she talked to her cousin, 2nd cousin. I call her aunt. I think it's a minority thing. All of them are tias. Yeah. So basically my tia told her, hey, Nebraska, this rents this much. And even the rent here was, basically in California, we were paying double for living in a bedroom, where here we could afford it with half of that for a whole apartment for ourselves. And it was smaller, but I was really homesick at first as a kid. And I think my life has always been like that. So that was another thing I always fought for, was I didn't want that for my kids. You know what I mean? I wanted to be stable. So I've always fought to be stable because I didn't like that. But I was really homesick. Not to mention, in California, I was already, even being in elementary school, I was already hanging out with the wrong people here and there. You would see stuff already, you know what I mean? And then, of course, coming to Nebraska, it just got worse for me as a teen, middle school, and then especially high school. I just lost in the head, man. Like literally just a teen, and it comes from not having a father. And I think a lot of you guys listening can relate to that, and I hope you do. And it just basically it's proof that it doesn't matter. Like you can still get to where you want to be, and do what you want to do.
I mean, I think it's also, along the lines of that, you can take a bad situation. Like, my dad was around, so in that sense, I can't relate. But, I do see how you took a bad situation where your dad wasn't around.
Yeah.
And you realize like, okay, this is the cards I've been dealt. But I don't want that for my kids,
Exactly.
And you're a great dad. Like I just see your relationship with your girls and, a fantastic husband. So I definitely see in you how you've taken that, and you can go two routes when you have that type of situation.
Exactly.
You can repeat that cycle for the next generation and be that same person that your dad was. Or you can turn around and be like, no, I don't want to be that person.
Yeah.
I want to be
and it's sad, Dan, that there's so many people that take the opposite route than the one that I took.
It's easier, man.
Yeah, it is. My dad wasn't around, so that's why I'm this, or that's why I'm doing this with my life. And it's, drugs. I mean, the streets, whatever you find whatever that void is and you find it in, you're just going to do more of it. And a lot of people sadly never get out of that.
Never break that cycle.
I'm glad. And I think I always, in my mind, even, when I was doing stupid stuff as a kid, I think I always had that in my head. Like, no, like my mom did all this for me. So this is the opportunity that I have to change my life and change, our generation, which, I didn't have a word for it, but I wanted it to be better. And so, yeah, that's where I'm at now. And I think that's why I did my music too, because it's therapy. I shouldn't say it was. It is therapy for me. Whether it's nowadays, talking about my kids, like positivity and stuff. If you listen to my older stuff, it's like sometimes I'm like, man, like what was wrong with me? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But at the same time, Dan, like that's what made me not end up in the wrong place. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Because I got it out. If somebody would talk smack, I would get that anger out on the microphone, and I legit felt better. You know what I mean?
So at this point, you're in Nebraska now.
Yeah.
You're not doing much better than you were in California.
Yeah.
How did you get started in the music? Like, what? I see why you got started, but how did you get started?
So actually, I'll take it back to El Salvador. So in El Salvador, from what I remember, and I hope I'm not wrong, but being a kid, but from what I remember, elementary, middle school, and high school, I want to say, are all one school. So there is no elementary, you know what I mean? It's all one school, 1 through 12th. So I remember the seniors or older kids would gather around, and I would sing for them or do poems, and they would literally pay me. Like, and I was probably like a 3rd grader, 4th grader. So they would pay me, and I would just sing or whatever. And were they making fun of me? But they were paying me, so I would assume they weren't. I hope. But either way, like that stuck to me. Like I used to do poems, so I feel like all that was always in me. And then for some reason, I always saw myself, for some reason, like acting, or just entertainment overall, doing music. But acting was also, now, that's. I would love to if anybody's listening out there and he's an actor, hit me up.
Someone in the MCU.
Yeah.
He's a new hero. He's a hero we all need.
But yeah, basically since then, like I said, writing poems, all that. I remember doing like a dental hygiene poem on 3rd, 4th grade around the same time in El Salvador. So yeah, I've always done that. But also, I was into drawing a lot. I used to draw. So just art. I feel like art has always been around me.
You're obviously creative,
And what's funny, Dan? Another story in California. I actually, shout out to my tia, man. She used to work cleaning like an office, and she would bring blank paper. But they were like cardboard. Mm-hmm. So they were like in my head, like expensive.
Nice, yeah.
And I would draw Disney characters. Disney, don't sue me. And I would sell them in the apartment complex. And people would buy them. And then to the point where they started ordering, like, hey, can you draw blah, blah, blah for my daughter? Cool. Yeah.
So you've always had the entrepreneurial spirit.
For sure.
Sounds like it.
Yeah, for sure. And that's from my grandpa.
Right.
My grandpa in El Salvador, rest in peace. He had buses, he had routes. He had motorcycle parts store. He had, I want to say, property. That I can't really confirm, but I swear. I mean, I know he had different houses, but so I have my Tio Landy from California. He's always telling me that I have the genes from my grandpa, and I don't know. I'm also a big believer that you don't have to have jeans. You know what I mean? Like you could definitely create your own
shorts.
leggings. I like what you did there. But yeah, so yeah, I feel like I've always had art in me. And then, like I said, I remember writing a song like Mueve tu tambo or something, when I was like in like 10, 11 years old, 12 years old.
What's a tambo for the people that don't know?
Culo. And if you don't know what culo means, it means yes. I don't know. Search it.
Google it.
But yeah, no, I've always liked doing that. But like I said, I think, and as I got older and I took it serious, I think that's when I realized that it was actually helping me. Like, so, and I started actually freestyling at parties with my friends, like here in Nebraska. We would just have crazy parties, literally teens who shouldn't be drinking and skipping school and, doing all that. That was our life. We did that every week. I don't know how I even graduated, man, to be honest with you. I barely did. I'm not going to say names, but my counselor, so one thing I've always worked my ass off to, and my counselor actually, she, the work credits where you worked in high school or whatever, she actually, I had enough credits by the time I was like in 11th grade, which is, or something, it was like impossible to get to that point. And she actually, I had to go to summer school my senior year to make up for everything. And on top of that, she gave me more credits for working than I had already had. Yeah. So that was pretty cool. But yeah, that's how I graduated. And I think that once I got out of high school is when it hit me, like, what am I going to do with my life? And I actually tried going to college. But, I was at that point, I was already thinking, well, here I am. Like, what am I going to do? And still doing stupid stuff on the side or whatever. But I applied for financial aid. I qualified, but they actually ended up taking it away. And, this is another thing. Like, this is another story that I want you guys to pay attention. Minority, like, this is what we go through. They took my financial aid because I wasn't born in the U.S. So when they did that, it like crushed me. I was like, man, like, here I am trying to do what's right now. You know what I mean? And so basically I had no choice but to go back to record more music. And honestly, it was the biggest blessing. Yeah. You know what I mean? Because if I would have gone to college, I probably would be, with my career and, but yeah. So.
All right. So you started the music career. And if you look Billy up on Spotify, he's been putting music out for a long time. Yeah. So that's been a steady thing for you.
Yeah.
Let's fast forward now. You've been doing your music thing for a while. Was it the construction thing that started first, or was it the?
Yeah. So the label, real quick, man. Actually, since it kind of goes all together. Crazy thing. My first album that I released was in 2006. It was mostly Spanish. It was all Spanish. There was some Spanglish in there, some English. But anyways, I signed with a major label in California and with that album. And it was through Universal. So it was like a big deal, but not the money. You know what I mean? Like, it was a big deal. And they did give me a little hush money up front, basically. And, being a teen, it's like, whoa, like this, my dream is becoming reality. You know what I mean? And anyways, fast forward, and I'm bringing this up because you said my CDs. I used to, I still do even at shows, but I used to have a van and I would just hit up different cities and even locally here, just anywhere, especially in Nebraska, the Midwest. and sell my CDs, right? So I sold a lot of those albums, like my very first album. That's really how I kind of got to where I'm at, basically. But I never collected a dime from that record label after. And I remember going to Cali or KC, actually. I don't know if you remember Circuit City.
Oh, yeah.
So I would see my album there, dude. Yeah, I know. I would see my album at the store. So, and at that time, it was cool. I was like, oh, snap, my album's at the store. You know what I mean? But
you weren't getting paid for that?
Oh, no. Never. Never one penny. So after the whole college thing, man, basically, when I went back to when they took the college thing away, I had released that album already. It was in 2006 when I released that album, early 2006. But the reason why I'm bringing that up is because I never collected anything. Well, since after the whole college thing, I had no choice but to, basically my music was kind of like, well, I'm going to do music no matter what. It was releasing whatever I felt inside. So either way, it wasn't about the money. You know what I mean? Like it was always, but I also thought of it like, well, now I'm out of high school. Like I got to get my shit together. You know what I mean? So it was like the outlet for me at the same time to see, okay, get serious about it. Well, my daughter was born. So, I started growing mentally. I had to, and I feel like I've always been an old man, like, taking care of my mom, like my little sisters, like I'm the only man of the house basically growing up. So, but obviously mentally, you're still growing. I mean, we're growing now, but, the reason why I bring the college thing is that was my outlet. I'm like, well, I got to do something now. So I started my own record label. And when I started my own record label, basically I gave up on that album. It was one of those things I paid a lawyer and basically he got me out of the contract, which is crazy, man. This is crazy. Like you read stuff and it's like, what? Even now, like the paragraph that the lawyer mentioned that got me out of the contract, I still don't get it. Like, how did you get me? Like, it's crazy. Yes. You know what I mean? So he got me out. And basically, like I said, I left that album. I started doing just my own recordings, my own music, my own albums. And the reason why I'm bringing it up is because I actually got my masters back for my first album, which that's another thing, guys. Ownership is like number one, no matter with whatever business you're in. And that was honestly, it was a blessing in disguise that it happened because it made me, I had to study how to do and run my own label so that wouldn't happen to me again. You know what I mean? And I got my masters back. So the album is called Sueños y Realidad. When you, like I said, man, you listen to that album and it's like, man, like, I was fucked in the head, man. You know what I mean? But it's literally how I felt, what I was seeing, what I was doing. So, but yeah, so check out that album. It should be coming here soon. I had to fight my distributor that, it's mine and my rap name too. Now that I'm more official, Billy Dha Kidd. But anyways.
So, yeah. So, sorry. So at this point, you're well established with your music.
I didn't even answer your question. It led to that. Right, so basically, because of the music, I had that's where I was going with it. So I got my master's back, thank God, but that's now. But it led, so me starting the record label, it taught me accounting. It taught me taxes. Basically every aspect of business is what the record label taught me. I made a lot of mistakes with it. So guess what? Now I took it and like you said, my uncle basically came up to me and he's like, hey, do you want, like, it was like, I don't know. I'm a big believer. Everything happens for a reason. And he's actually not my blood uncle, but he's seen me since I was a baby, but, he came up to me like, hey, you're very good with business. He's like, do you want to start a roofing company? And it was roofing at first. And, this was in 2015. So that was a first business. So what's crazy is a tornado hit Lincoln, and I don't know if you remember, this was in 2016, South Lincoln.
Yeah, I think I remember that.
Yeah. So, and it didn't hit all the way, but it created enough destruction to get us busy. And I was still working my job. So I was running the construction business. And what's crazy is the crew was doing jobs. So I don't even know how, man, like, I don't know how I did it with, you know, the whole W-2. Like when you think back and something that you can relate to right now, that's what you have to do, guys. You have to.
You got to make it work.
Yeah.
You
like,
don't,
no excuses. You know what I mean? No excuses. So yeah, started that. And then basically now I repeated the same process with the construction company. So from there, basically the year after 2016, I started my investing. And yeah, so that's kind of how that happened. And construction and real estate kind of went together. So I just run the companies, and my uncle's still doing, you know, the work and most of the work.
When you were getting when you had the construction deal and you said that led to the real estate investing, were you just buying houses that, like, how did you find your leads for your houses? Like, how, you know, where did those come from?
So what's crazy, Dan, is just the MLS. Like,
so you didn't even so I would imagine, like, if I had a construction company, I would, you know, maybe I have a call that these people want to, they have some kind of issue with their house, and it's like, oh, this is going to be like $30,000 to fix, and we don't have the money for it. And I'd be like, all right, well, I can buy the house from you if you want, you know. That's, I guess, how I would imagine I would do it. But
now I think like that. Yeah.
You just.
No.
I guess so. It
was so new to me that at that time, like I said, going back to just do it. You get what I'm saying? Like, it was one of those things where I didn't know anything really. I mean.
But you did have an upper hand, at least, because you had the construction crew. So you knew that if you bought even if you paid full price.
I'll be honest with you, Dan. I've always wanted, in the whole real estate thing, it always got my attention. Even, you know, growing up, like, I always, for some reason, whenever I would see somebody on TV that did real estate, the way they did things, like, I was like, yes, that's
what you want.
That's how I want to live my life. That's how I can help my mom. That's how I can help not just my mom, but the world. You know what I mean? And anyways, so I always wanted to do it. But honestly, my uncle is the one who pushed me. Like, and actually my uncle in California too, having both of them talking to me kind of pushed me. Like, for example, the one here that does the construction stuff with me, he, you know, we would see, I was scared, man. I would walk into a house and I'm like, no, I'm not buying this. And my uncle was like, no, do it. So honestly, he pushed me. Like, and then, like I said, my uncle in California too, you know, kind of always talking to me and telling me, no, like, your grandpa, you know, he was always bringing that up. So yeah, I just did it. And I learned from there. And like I said, even to this day now, I'm still finding deals on the MLS.
I've never gotten a single one off the MLS.
That's so crazy.
Awesome. I mean, all my stuff.
Well, and that's awesome too.
Yeah, I mean, I would love to. Yeah.
And that's just proof, guys, that if you want to invest,
there's a lot of ways. There's so many avenues to do it, especially in real estate. You can get so creative with it.
Yep.
So you started buying houses using your crew to fix them up.
Yeah.
Are you flipping? Are you holding on to them? What are you doing?
I'm holding on, man. I did a flip, and I just can't. Like, paying taxes is not fun too.
Yeah, you get
so when you flip, like, they tax you,
heavy.
but it's also, I think we had this conversation too, where it's like, if you do flips, I mean, yeah, you're gonna pay this much taxes, but you make the money out of it, so you're gonna have money that you never had anyway. So it's it doesn't matter.
So I remember what you're talking about. So so when I do mostly flips, and yes, you know, there's completely different tax advantages and disadvantages. Well, there's really no disadvantages to renting, but but the thing is,
even to flips though.
Well, yeah. So when you flip a house, you know, you have capital gains tax that gets attached to the regular sales tax. And I mean, there's all sorts of taxes anyway, but so you're taxed more heavily on it. But I was telling Billy once how, I don't remember who I was talking to, but I was telling someone how I wanted to flip a house. And you know, when you start this journey, if you want to do something like that, you're always going to have the naysayers, you know, as they say.
Oh, yeah.
People that got, you know, I had one buddy who was like, whose uncle's cousin's friend, whatever, you know, was a landlord for a while there. And I was telling them that I wanted to get into investing and buying houses. And they're like, oh, well, you're going to be woken up at 3 a.m. to go fix a toilet. And everybody hears those stories. And of course, at first, of course, but
no, and things happen. Don't get me wrong,
right? But that's not enough to dissuade someone. I mean, it's not to me. So
the benefits is
right.
Like,
so I had this friend was telling me all these horror stories about it. He's also like, yeah, and then you're gonna get taxed 40% of your money. I'm like, yeah, but that other 60%, I didn't have
never
it
had
before that.
Yeah.
You know, so
no, and you made a great point, and I've always thought that too. Like, it's so true.
it's a good problem to have. You say it all the time. It's a good problem to have.
Yeah.
You know,
I love. So I've always had money problems, my whole life. But I like this money problems, like where it's like, oh man, I got to pay the IRS, or with my label and
pay your taxes,
everything.
guys.
Yeah. Oh yeah. But I'd rather have these problems than not having the money to pay for my bills, or not help my mom, or But
so how many rentals do you have?
20 right now, 20 doors.
20 doors.
Yeah.
You had 18 the last time I talked to you. You got 2 in like 3 weeks.
2 weeks.
like Jesus.
Yeah, no, 20 doors. But I forgot. I was gonna make a point. I don't know. Maybe it's a good.
It'll come back. That's all right. So all right. So you got 20 doors.
Here's what with the investing. You asked me about flipping or.
Okay. Okay. So yeah. What's your strategy?
Well, so the biggest way that I could describe it, I can't remember if it was a podcast or a book but I'm pretty sure I read it somewhere. But anyways, basically, I'd rather keep the cow and milk it every month. And it's a cow that's going to be there for the rest of your life. And that's where it gets into generational wealth where, now your kids can eat off of it, your grandkids, and, that place is still going to be up, even if you're gone. So I think that's been my mental. So I'm very selfish with my house. It's like, no, I want to keep it. Yeah. And again, there's different strategies, like you said.
And what it is it just depends on your goal.
Exactly.
I think
financial freedom was the goal.
Right. So that's your goal. That's one way to get there.
Yep.
You can do it flipping too, but when you're flipping, you're like I said, you have a whole different set of problems. They're still good problems, but they're just a different set of problems. So it depends on your goals and what is your risk tolerance.
Exactly.
How much money, and also depends on how much money can you come up with. When I started investing, it's crazy how my mindset has shifted about money. Like I don't even consider money like a real thing anymore. Like it's just crazy because I will literally I'll go to a house, put an offer in, and like I said, mine are all off market, at least up until this point. But I'll put an offer in, and I will have zero idea at that moment, how am I going to get the money for this? Or like I don't have the money for it, at that moment, because it's probably tied up in something else. So it's crazy how my mind shift has changed to where like the money is the least of the worries, at that point. Like the money will come. If the deal's there, the money will come. Yeah. And it's honestly to the point, and I think I told you this the other day, that like people just want to like invest with me now. Like they, when you have people's trust and they know you're a solid person, legit, and you're honest
about your word,
right? And I've got probably about 3 or 4 people right now that are just lined up like ready to invest and stuff. And it's all about the right deal and everything. But I want to get to the point, when I started, every single deal that I had was some kind of sort of partnership because I wanted to spread the risk, because that's kind of where I was. And I'm okay, like Brandon Turner on Bigger Pockets says, what he said, part of a deal is better than no deal. Yeah. So exactly. I'm okay with splitting the profits because I'm not, that money, I didn't have it before then,
Well, so it goes back to that.
Right.
It goes back to that point. Like, yes, are you going to pay? But it's like, yes, but you're keeping money that you never had.
And, the biggest thing that I get from every single project is like knowledge and experience. And honestly, the biggest thing is confidence, man. Like when I had that first deal, dude, there's like nothing scarier than that first deal pulling the trigger on it.
I remember that for sure.
Now like it's like, like when you were a kid, and you meet like a girl that you like, you get the butterflies and all that. Yeah, like now every time I'm like, I got a deal working, like, oh man, so like, like I get that feeling, and it's cool to have it, now, and it's nervous, but it's a good nervous, because now I know I have the confidence.
Well, and it's crazy because I'm at the point where I think I remember listening, hearing back then, like, oh yeah, they bought it without even walking it through, right?
That's crazy.
Like, and I feel like now I'm getting to that point where it's like, I probably don't even have to walk through a property to know if it's a deal or not. Yeah. If the numbers work. At the end of the day, everything has a fix, Yeah. But it's money, so the numbers have to work.
Yeah. What do they say that any problem can be fixed with the right amount of money? Mm-hmm. And so it's true, especially with real estate investing.
And entrepreneurship overall, I think.
Yeah. I mean, well, to a certain extent, you can't throw money at problems and
well, you know what, Dan? Whatever. Okay.
Well, no, I'm just thinking
like
like bad management, bad habits.
Yeah,
You
exactly.
can't throw money at that stuff.
Yeah.
In a house, yes, I can throw 20 grand into a foundation. Now my foundation's fixed. That's one of the things, because I work in IT. I'm an IT manager during the day, my W2 job, and it's such a different experience when I'm working at work because everything's behind a desk, and it's such a nice feeling when I'm working on one of my flips because I'm still doing a lot of the work on my stuff. But it's so rewarding.
Yeah.
Like I can immediately see, hey, I just did that. Like I just finished remodeling one of the bathrooms in one of my flips, and I walk through, like, honestly, like I'm past the bathroom. I'm onto like the second bathroom.
Yeah.
But every time I get there, I walk through that first bathroom.
Yeah.
I'm like, damn, I just did this.
And good point, man. Because I'm gonna add to that. You're supposed to. Here's the thing to kind of tie into the money thing too. Like, money's not everything. Basically, if you shift your mind to think, no matter what you touch turns gold, like that saying. You have to leave everything that you touch better than how you found it. Yes. And guess what? If you leave it better than how you found it, then don't feel bad that you're making money or that or the money's gonna come because you left it better than how you found it. And that's with anything. I mean, it could be a car. You find a car and you throw some paint on it, you put new tires on it, whatever, you do all this stuff to it. Now you're leaving it, better than how you found it. So the person that buys it from you is going to enjoy that car. And the same with houses.
And that's essentially, it's working with integrity.
Yeah, exactly.
I work every house that I flip. When I'm working on it, when I'm designing what I'm going to do to it, obviously I want to make it look good, but I also want it to be a quality product.
Exactly.
I've the last contract that I had to fire, what it came down to was that his workmanship was not part of my product. Like this is not what I deliver.
Yep.
And, yes, I can slap paint on the wall, and hope for the best when the inspector comes through or the appraiser comes through. But I don't want, those people to be in that house for a year and a half, and then something happens because it was, my crappy workmanship or my crappy quality standards. I don't want that. And because, what I want them to think is like, this house was solid. He did, for that price range, you have the best quality you can get.
And you know what, Dan, as a contractor, I would tell you what, to kind of make sense of all that, I've had my share of, issues that I've had. But I would tell you what, I can promise you that I've always like passion. Like if you have passion with what you do, you leave it all on the table. You do the best that you can. You give it your all, basically. It's like, that's one thing you can't deny. You know what I mean? Like with I've had my run-ins, with my nothing's ever perfect. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and you can't always meet everybody's standards.
Yeah,
Some people will just complain.
But I guarantee you, though, that even anybody that has that I've dealt with that felt some kind of way, it's like I can promise you, I never quit on you. Two, I never walked away. Right. Well, that's the same thing. One, I never quit on you. Two, I was very passionate and I cared about the project. You know what I mean? But I think, and if you do that with everything that you do, with my example, music, I'm very passionate with that. My companies with construction, with real estate, even with my rentals, I promise you, I try my best, but it's so hard to keep people happy that I think that, and a lot of it is like, 97% of the people aren't working on themselves, so they don't see outside of that, if that makes sense.
Yeah, so I always tell my daughter, she's 13, so she's very much at that teen,
same age.
But like when she, I ask her to do something and she would just like half-ass it, and I always have to remind her, I'm like, look, like if you're gonna do something, then do it right, do it with pride, and I take that even with any like jobs, any of you guys out there that are working jobs that you hate. I mean, I've been there, like you've been there.
Oh man.
Like where you literally just hate waking up in the mornings because you have to go to this job that you hate, the people you hate, the management you hate, whatever the case is.
Yeah.
And I've had those jobs, but I've always taken pride in the quality of my work because I feel like integrity is huge if you're going to be successeven at anything, particularly entrepreneurship.
Yep.
If you don't have integrity, then just get out. Yeah.
No matter with whatever business.
Yeah.
And even look at, for example, restaurants. I'm a fat boy. I can guarantee you, I can taste If somebody just slapped the food, or you know what I mean, or if the owner is cooking, they care more than you know what I mean. So
you got all these things going on, man. Like you have you got your music, you got construction, you got real estate investing. You're about to do a management thing, a property management thing.
Yeah. I think with me, I just like to keep busy. You know, a lot of people think once you get to that point where you reach financial freedom, it's like, oh, now you get to lay on the beach and
you go to a lot of beaches. I look at your Instagram.
¿Qué pasó? All right, well, never mind on that point.
No, I mean, enjoy what you work for.
It's funny. It's funny. I actually, I appreciate that actually because I love beaches. I really do. I don't know. But you're right. But here's what's beautiful about it is that you can run your bit. I'm gonna tell you what, Dan. I started my last LLC on my iPhone.
Damn.
Like and when I say that, I did not use a computer.
All the lawyers listening are cringing right now.
But my whole point is with your and not just iPhone, but any smartphone nowadays, you literally can become a millionaire with it. You know what I mean? Yeah. And that's what's beautiful. So nowadays it's not even an excuse. You know what I mean? Perfect example. With my music, guess what? You're a video. You probably hate me, but I did my music videos on my iPhone. You're cringing right now, looking
on
at
the inside. No, I mean, I think you did a good job for what you have. Again, you're using the resources that you have.
Exactly, and that, man, that's perfect. You just said that's what you guys have to do. Use the resources you have. I didn't have everything at once. You know what I mean? Like. You can relate to that. You know, I'm still working on, you know, I mean, for example, I want a Lambo, right? And it doesn't mean it's going to happen now, you know what I mean? Right. But someday it will, but I'm using the resources that I have.
Yeah, you know, entrepreneurship is a long game, man. Like, you know, you hear those stories of people that are overnight successes, but that's the minority. You know, it doesn't happen that way in real life.
Yeah.
So, you know, you got to stay just consistent. That's the biggest thing. And that's where I can tell right now, like I struggle with consistency.
I think everybody does.
I don't know. You seem pretty consistent. But like, so I mean, what I was getting at with all the things that you have going on, you know, although this isn't particularly business related, I do, I don't know if envy is the right word, but like, how do you manage like being such a great husband and a great father on top of that? Because you see a lot of people that, you know, they get just so laser focused on their business, and you got like 4 successful ones essentially. How do you also, you know, make sure that you give time to those that you love, that you're doing it for, you know, because it's easy to get lost in that and not.
So here's what you know, where that comes down to. Basically, God is first, and we go to church, right? Now I will tell you right now, I'm not a perfect Catholic, you know, as far as I should probably we know when we haven't gone to church enough. So we're like, no, we're going to church. Like the wife or, you know, even the kids will be like, hey, we haven't gone to church. So God's first. So for sure, that's on our head all the time. Actually, if you look at like my goals, the first thing is church regularly. So when we try to go every couple of weeks. Every week is essentially what we've done, but then when we fell off, we catch each, you know, family, right? That's after God is family. So when you have that in your head, then essentially you're putting them first for whatever you do. So for example, if whatever I'm doing, whether I'm recording, whether I'm running a project, you know, investing, whatever I'm doing, my daughters get out of school at 2:50 p.m., right? So at 2:30, I'm done. Like, you know, now I have that. Thank God that, you know, I'm able to do that, right? That like no matter what I'm doing, right? Now I'm not gonna, you know, there's days where of course but that's my mindset on that. It's like, no.
So you have a hard stop, whatever you're doing.
Yeah. And I was never like that, Dan. And I still struggle with that because I love what I do. Like, you know, I love it. So.
And I think that's important to mention because I struggle with that. You know, I have the type of personality where I will literally if I get laser focused on a specific project, like I'll be working on a house and doing whatever, I'm remodeling the bathroom, the kitchen, whatever. putting floor down, I get so focused on what I'm doing that time just doesn't exist anymore. Like, hours will pass by.
Yeah.
And so,
right, which is good too, because that's passion.
It's good, yeah. And it's good to be focused, but everything you want to do in moderation and try to balance as much as you can.
Yeah.
I don't think 100% balance is realistic, but
yeah,
do your best, obviously.
Yeah,
so,
no, and like I said, it's hard. Like for example, today my daughter had a soccer game, and even the wife was kind of, we had a party buzz last night. I think we were talking about it before.
Looking rough this morning.
So we had a party buzz, but my daughter's game this morning was at 9:30 a.m. We had to be there, and even the wife was kind of like, hey, if you like last night, she's like, yeah, if you don't want to get up, but it's like, no, like this is why I do what I do. Right. You know what I mean? Like this. So family is God and family's first, basically. So I made it to the game. Later on, actually, we were supposed to do our stuff here, and we kind of pushed it back a little bit. I had to run a couple errands with the construction and real estate stuff.
So it's God, family, Dan.
There you go.
I'll take it.
My wife is cringing now.
You're gonna come in here.
What's up with cringing? Cringing, yeah. But yeah, I think when you focus on that, when you put your focus on what's important, then everything works out. And also, Dan, I think now that I'm, with financially, with the financial freedom, basically, it gets to the point where now, thank God, I get to choose what I want to do also, which is very important. Like there's projects that I'm kind of like, hey, this is our timeline. Oh, no. Okay. Thank God. It's not going to affect me. Do you get what I'm saying? Regardless, like I'm going to keep it moving.
Regardless.
Yeah, exactly. Or even with music, if I don't want to do a show, I don't have to.
Right.
So yeah, it's once you get to that point where you can choose what you want to do, it's also because, when I had my job, like I didn't have that, you know what I mean? So time is better than money for sure.
Yeah.
And that's why we do what we do.
So, okay. So you gave us the secrets of, how you manage all of these things. Let's go ahead and wrap it up. So we know about your history, where you're at right now. What's the goal? Where are you going to be, or what's your, I don't want to say end goal, because I don't feel like in investing you ever have an end goal.
Oh yeah.
But what's down the road, and what can we expect?
So definitely this podcast was another thing that I wanted to do. And this is obviously, I'm a big believer too, that we met for a reason, and here we are, you know what I mean? Like, it's
I don't think we explained that in the beginning. We probably should have.
Yeah.
But so Billy, actually, you were referred to me by another and then when we do my story, I basically, I weaseled my way. And I like to say that I weaseled my way into the investment community here in LinkedIn, the real estate investment, through my video production and photo business. And I'll go into detail with that. But one of the guys that I became really good friends with, I was needing some work done, because I'm trying to get to the point where on my flips where I move out of the day-to-day work.
Yeah.
And so that will help me become more efficient.
That's
streamlined.
Tough. That's tough.
That's extremely tough.
Because when you love what you do, you feel like you can do it better than, like w's that saying? Como dice,
See, this is the problem with speaking two languages.
I know.
Did
it just happen right now?
Yeah, I get that. I know what you're saying though. Like,
what is that saying where, you want something done right, do it yourself.
Yeah, there you
go.
But yeah, so so I'm trying to get to that point. But so he referred, I know you had done a house for him, the one on Adams Street, and so he's just like, hit this guy up. He did some great work. And, and then I had you, and you were late, dude. I actually almost left. I have very little.
Oh, I had
it was
some rental stuff. Yeah.
So I have very, very little tolerance.
Yeah.
For people that are late.
Yeah.
But it actually worked out because it was it was plumbing work that I needed. You guys to come take care of or look at least.
Yeah.
And I had another plumber bail on me twice.
Yeah.
And just didn't show up. And so I called my buddy and he gave me your information and you showed up late. I almost left, but I was like, nah, because what impressed me about you is that rather than just not showing up, yes, you called me. you were like, hey, I'm running late. And, I was like, you know what? I'll give him the benefit of the doubt because he at least tried. 99 when shit happens. Like,
well, no. And you know what, Dan? Imagine how many people don't communicate. You know what I mean? And that's the biggest issue. And that's
the biggest headache I have with this contractors. Like, you guys, you people now. No, like. So, my biggest gripe, like, honestly, I'll never leave real estate investing. But if I were to, it'd be because, when you work with contractors that are really good at their trade, but they're horrible communicators and horrible business people.
It takes away the work that they do.
Yeah, it doesn't matter what you do.
And that was one of the things that I promised myself that, like I said, no matter, like, I'm not going to quit on you. If you're not happy with something, like, my guys will go back. Right. We're going to go back until you're happy. Like, that's, that's literally guaranteed. Because at the end of the day, in every business, and that's the thing, even with music, for example, it's a blessing that I know I can name a lot of famous artists that they know I'm about my word, when it comes to stuff, for example, right? Like with, oh, hey, you want to do a show, a song, video, whatever I've done. Same with, with my construction company, my guys know, same with real estate investing. So like I said, when you have passion, you don't never give up on, the project that you're doing. It naturally happens, but communication is definitely, marriage with your kids, with anything that you do, communication, because life is not perfect. Nothing is perfect at the end of the day. You know what I mean? I'm not perfect. You're not perfect. And communication is key though. If you, even like today, look, I called you like an hour before, like, hey,
and it's funny because I was literally about to leave. I was like, I'll get there early.
Why are you always leaving on me, bro? Hold on. This is the only episode that's going to air.
No, I was about to head out because I was working at one of the flips and I was about to leave like to your place.
Yeah.
Because I live out of town and so I try to get everything done while I'm in town. But it's funny because we go off on these tangents all the time. And the whole point I was trying to make was how we met.
Yeah.
And so he came by. We talked, and honestly, you were there for like, because my daughter had volleyball practice, and I remember I had to leave.
Yeah, I remember.
But so I had a hard stop, but I think the whole time, man, we just bullshitted and just just kind of clicked.
I think I had to come back for the project.
Came back a second time, so we can go through it. But I'm a huge believer in the law of attraction.
Oh yeah,
I think
everything happens.
Everything happens for a reason, especially if you have the right attitude about it.
Oh yeah, exactly.
Because you can take any problem and either get something out of it or just poor me. This is the worst thing.
No, and look, here we are. You know what I mean? Like the project is coming along, and here we are, like doing podcasts. Like it's crazy. Shout out to Flippin' NJ because it reminds me of that real quick. The seminar that I just went to. His best friend actually he met kind of like the same way. And his name's Fernando. Lord of the Slums is what he goes by.
That is a horrible name.
I like it. Hey, minorities, bro.
Yeah. Oh my god.
You're like, I don't want to.
I was a marketing major. Like no.
So he became a real estate agent, right? And so here is Flippin' NJ becoming an investor too. So to do it real quick, basically. He had worked at this firm for a year, hadn't sold one house yet. And then finally his boss comes up to him. He's like, hey, I have the perfect investor that I think will be perfect for you. So he brings Flippin' NJ. And basically before, like when they had a meet, the boss basically told Fernando, he was like, hey, he's like the investing king of New Jersey, blah, 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 blah. Well, the funny thing is NJ hadn't done one deal yet. And then when he talked to NJ, he's like, this is my number one agent. Well, he hadn't sold one house yet. So they were both literally on their first.
Yeah.
So that's how they clicked up. And now they just
blew up.
Yeah, together. So I don't know. It like made me think of you. You know what I mean? Like just because it's kind of the same thing. Like we met through business.
Fake it till you make it.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. To a certain extent. And then I do kind of have a moment like that I'll talk about next week in my stuff. But but it was pivotal in my career with this stuff, and another shout out to Bigger Pockets because that's where I kind of got it from. But yeah, so it's all right, man. I don't think we quite got it. What's in the future?
I know.
We gotta tighten these things up.
So definitely growing with my music. All my business is construction. the real estate stuff, and then definitely venturing into other businesses. But at the same time, my thing is time, family first. But I think the end, like you said, not the end goal, but the next goal is to start looking at doing more. Like, for example, what we're doing now is start helping people, opening their eyes, and maybe talk to kids. It's always something that I wanted to do, but I think now that everything's kind of putting together with my story now, I think I'm ready to go and talk to kids, but mainly help back at home in El Salvador, locally here in my city here, help different charities and stuff like that. For sure, that's definitely where I'm heading with everything. Yeah. We do donations and all that good stuff, but I think I want to get involved more with the community like that. But other than that, man, just keep growing. Your
rentals are single family, right? For the most part.
Yeah, and so duplexes. Yep.
So you're still planning on staying in that?
Yeah, I like it. And that there's another tip for everybody out there listening, that it doesn't have to, basically whatever you're comfortable with, whatever works, and that's worked for me so far. But yeah, I think in the future, I've actually put in a few offers on some buildings already. I haven't gotten one yet, but that's where I'm at. I think, in the future, that's what I want to do for sure.
Okay. So you probably have so many ways of getting a hold of you. Like, if someone wants to reach out, they have questions, how can people find out more about you?
Instagram. So I do have Facebook, but Instagram and YouTube. Those are the main two places where you could find me. BillyDhaKidd.com for my music. But yeah, YouTube, I do some vlogging with the family.
What's your tags on those?
It's at Billy the Kid. Okay. DhaKidd.
Okay.
So find me on there. That's another thing I learned, that for example, with Facebook, I feel like it's like chismes, and I don't know. I run, like we run our businesses through there, but I've learned, honestly, man, if I wasn't doing anything, I probably wouldn't have social media. I don't know. But I look at it like, what, if you want to see what I'm doing, and that's for any entrepreneurs out there, YouTube, you can monetize it.
Yeah.
So, you want to see me laying on a Speedo at the beach?
No.
Watch YouTube. No, but that's what I'm doing, and so, find me on YouTube at Billy the Kid. Same with Instagram.
All right, man. Well, congratulations on our first podcast.
Right?
We
did it.
Yeah.
Cool, man.
Yeah. So thanks you guys for listening or watching if you're on the YouTube version of it. We're gonna do our best to get, pump them out every week.
Yep.
Hopefully, I feel like if we can help one person, man, it's totally worth it.
Oh, yeah.
And this is fun, man. Like, to me, this is just decompressing.
Yeah.
Talking shop about the things that we love. And,
yep.
The more we get other people in, the more we can learn about, particularly our own community and how we can help out, how we can support local business. That's huge, especially, to us. Yep. So thanks for listening. We'll try to throw another one at you next week.
Yep. Make sure you guys follow our new IG as well, Instagram.
It's the.minority report.
Yep. In the podcast at the end, I think. Jeez, just look up The Minority Report and you'll see our logo.
I'll put it on the show notes.
There you go. Stuff, and then YouTube as well.
Yeah.
So subscribe.
So, we have a website that we're still working on. It's minorityreportpod.com. It's not up yet. I'm gonna put up like a coming soon type website here soon. And then if you have any sort of you can just put in your email and it can notify you when the site's up. And we gotta do a photo session for that. Yeah. That'll be fun. But
at the beach.
Yeah. This guy in the beach. We live in Nebraska. There's no damn beaches in Nebraska.
Brand choke.
Yeah. Isn't that like the toxic one? There is. I think it's no, it's Pawnee. It's Pawnee. Pawnee Lake. That thing has always got like toxic sludge.
Yeah, and people are still swimming in there.
Yeah, it's nasty. Anyway, guys, thanks for listening. We'll catch you on the next one. Take care of yourselves and have a fantastic week.
Hey, just get it.
on my shoes and my dreams. Now I got passive income from different streams. My hand to please don't segregate. Dressed in a suit, I can't relate. Minority report, can't ignore. Being rich from poor and your credit score. My hand to please don't segregate. Dressed in a suit, I can't relate. Minority report, can't ignore. Being rich from poor and your credit score.